This is Dr. Shawnise Carter, and you are watching Two Mics Up.
Double O 07.
What's happening, everybody? It's your man damednydc. You know what time it is? It's Monday night. Be back with a brand new episode, and tonight we're featuring, a guest that's going to be joining me on the other mic that is supremely talented, and she's coming in at so many different angles and levels that I couldn't help but bring her on, because I mean these are the times that we should be excited when we have people that are really involved and engaged in our community on so many levels. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tease you tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and bring this lovely lady to the stage with her smile and her energy, and we're going to get to it. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Shawnise Carter. Dr. Carter, how you doing this evening?
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, like we said, we blessed. It's Monday, and we're really sitting here, and we're really going to dive in because you really cover such a large swath of work. And one, when I really looked into it, I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how, but you're doing it, sister. And with every story, we always have to start at the beginning. So I have to ask, and please take a moment to introduce yourself, to our audience, and let us know where you're from, a little bit about who you are and who you really are when you're not working and pouring into everyone else.
I am Shawnise Carter. I am originally from the suburbs of Chicago, and so born and raised there. I went to school in, like I said, the suburb of Chicago. Ended up going to Tennessee State University, HBCU, because that's
Okay.
something that I wanted to do. And so I ended up majoring in speech pathology. But let me rewind before I get there. In high school, I was on sports year round. So I ran cross country. I played basketball for 3 years. And then my senior year decided to do pom poms. So I wanted to dance a little bit. And then I ran track. And so just love, being in sports and being active in that way. And then majored in speech pathology, which makes sense. I like to talk, as my older brother would say. And I have an older brother, a younger sister by 7 years. My
Wow.
brother is 2.5 years older than me. And fast forward, I've worked into the field. I have 20 years of experience as a speech pathologist, and I have a family. I'm married, and I have a family of five, so 5 children. And we're
Wow.
really like a musical family. My husband is a musician. My son plays an instrument, or the drums and the keyboard. My daughter plays the guitar. She knows how to play the guitar, but she doesn't want to do it, professionally. And all of my kids sing. Even my sons know how
Oh,
to
wow.
carry a tune, even though they don't
Okay.
sing. But yeah, and my husband is a music artist as well, gospel
Wow.
music.
I mean, like I said, y'all thought I was joking. I mean, we just talking about family life. We didn't even get into the grit and the grind of the daily. But listening to that, you sound like you're very deep into your family, and family is really means a lot to you. But when you talk about your background, like what was it that really, like you said, you like to talk a lot, but there had to be something else that really inspired you. Not only because you not only do speech pathology, you're an author, you're an agency owner, and these are, when you look at them as their own, they're kind of different. So how do you really in your daily life intersect family and all of these other roles, and how do they intersect in your daily life?
I don't really have a perfect formula. I just do it. I just keep going. So these are like all the things that interest me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
after a while, I kind of get bored doing the same thing. And so for me, I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I always wanted to enter a field that is helping other people, that's compassionate, that is helping people to improve their lives. But I also wanted to do that from a perspective of being a business owner. And in that regard, and especially having children, I look at it as something that I can show my kids, not
Mm.
just do something that you love, but to take a part in owning it as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
be on the ownership side. And so I just kind of always knew that I wanted to do business. Now the author thing, that was something that I did like during the pandemic, just, you know, thinking about some things in my life that I felt were really transformational, some
Mm-hmm.
pivotal points in my life. And I always looked at the lesson in it,
Mm.
and other people are like, how do you not hold on to that? How are you not
Right.
bitter? How do you
It's true.
get that out of your situation, out of your
Right.
experience? How do you come out of that still kicking and fighting and, wanting to go for the next level?
Right.
And for me, I was like, okay, this must be something different. Like, not everybody thinks like this. And so a lot of people will come to me for advice. And
Mm.
I just started writing some things down, and said, if there's anything that I would want, it's to have a platform to be able to spread positivity, to be able to help people, and to
Yeah.
be able to tell people that the core part of me, what keeps me going, is not even me at all. It's my faith in God, and it's my
Wow.
relationship with God. And
Man,
so, yeah, so that's
that,
how
that that's
all this
deep.
came about.
That's deep because I mean, especially like we talk about in today's times, having a foundation, and believing, in something greater than yourself, and then to be able to use that through storytelling, and really uh, promoting and uplifting others as a giver is a very hard job, and at times I know it can be tiresome.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so when you sometimes look, how do you gain the strength to keep pouring into yourself, or like who's, I know your family plays a big role, but who else, is pouring into Shawnise to be able
Yeah,
to give that, because that's a huge energy drain, and I think sometimes
it is.
people take that for granted when it comes, well, she's always going to be there, she's always going to give me advice, she's always going to do this, but who's taking care of Shawnise and pouring into her so she can continue to do her work?
That's a great question. I think that I have boundaries. I set boundaries.
Mhm.
I first of all, I have 5 kids. Okay, 5 children, 3 grown children, and people continue to want me to operate at the same level. It's
Mhm.
almost as if I don't know if I make it look easy. I've been told that I make it look easy, but I get tired. I get
Mhm.
drained. So for me, I have to set boundaries. I'm like, you know what? I just want to take some time for myself.
Yeah.
After I finish work, after I deal with the kids and get them what they need, I need some me time. And that's
Yeah.
not anything extraordinary or extravagant as I would like it to be. Sometimes
Right.
it's just me sitting and decompressing for a little bit,
Mhm. Mhm.
or maybe just putting my phone on the charger and leaving it there. And I'm not looking at how many messages I've
Messages.
missed,
Yep.
who has called me, or
Yep.
returning emails. I always feel like I can always do something else. So I work
Mhm.
remotely, and I've been working remotely for a long time. And so even that is having boundaries, having a cutoff. Like, I could respond to
Yeah.
this email, or I can get a head start on tomorrow, but do I want to? Is it good for my
Right.
mental health?
Oof.
No, I'm
Right.
gonna leave it alone. I'm going to leave that off of the to-do list for today. And that could get done tomorrow. Now I may draft it, put it in draft.
Right. So you can pick up tomorrow. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
I that boundary is key, and I think a lot of people need to hear that and really understand that. Because like you say, expectation. If you do it one time, it becomes an expectation. Everybody just
True.
automatically. So it's great that people. I hope ladies and gentlemen, are listening. Set boundaries. It's okay. It's okay to take care of a Shawnise or Damon, because if you don't, then you can't help take care of anybody else anyway. So those
Yeah.
boundaries are really key. And you mentioned the speech pathology. I'm more. I want to kind of go into a section of where like the community impact part of it, right? Because like you said, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, like what changes have you seen
Mm,
over your time in the field? And really I want to be specific with that. And when it comes to the outcomes really for a lot of our children who look like you and I in underserved communities. What has that change been like over your 20 years? If you could share some of that.
you know, it's sad to say that there is not much change that I've
Mm,
seen.
wow. Wow.
And by change, I mean in the way of access to healthcare.
Yeah.
You
Mm,
know, also even black and brown people in the field,
mm,
even so the field of speech pathology is
mhm,
92% Caucasian, and the majority of the discipline is females, right? So there are
mm.
not too many male speech pathologists at all. I want to say it's like
Wow.
95% female.
Wow.
And so the other 8% makes up all of the people of color, right? And
Wow.
so then when you look at African Americans, I believe um, we make up about 3 to 4% of the field. And
Wow.
then the rest of out of that 8% would be the people of color, um, other minority groups. And so, in terms of awareness that this is a field that
Mhm.
we need more Black,
Yeah.
African American
Yeah.
pathologists to treat our people, it that is something that we are still bringing awareness to,
Yeah.
that we are still trying to get people to know that this is a field that you can major in,
Mm, mhm,
and then in terms of access to healthcare, one thing that I noticed in the field is, and especially going into the houses, because I worked in home health and I worked in home care going into people's houses. So whether it was
mhm,
pediatric or whether it was adults that I was
mhm,
treating, I noticed that the way that we rehabilitate, meaning African Americans, looks
mhm.
different than people who are not
Wow.
Black in the way that they
Mm,
rehabilitate. And
mm,
so I feel like we don't have the education enough to know that grandma who had a stroke could get better.
yeah. Yeah.
She could
Right.
regain skills. I feel like
Yeah.
even if she's not talking, right, it doesn't mean that she can't regain some language. It may not be the
Hmm.
same. It depends on the severity of the stroke. It depends on where the
Right.
stroke happened in the brain. It depends on all of those different things. But rehabilitation is an option where
Mm.
you can improve their quality of life.
Obviously. Yeah.
And I feel that in my observation, I'll say, I noticed that with African American families, we did everything to love on Big Mama, right? We did
Right.
everything
Right.
to
Right.
make sure if she was bedbound, that she was changed, that she was fed, but in terms of that therapy and that rehabilitative part, did it go as far as it could? Did
Mm.
does the family even know that the expectation is that they could get better. Like they may not be walking now, they may be bedbound or in a wheelchair, but when they get physical therapy, they can start taking steps, and 10
Yeah.
steps could lead to 20 steps, and 20 steps can lead to 40, and 40 could lead to 100. It's like all of these different things, even different kinds of treatment, like
Mm-hmm.
neuromuscular electrical stimulation. It's like when they put the
Right.
electrical
Dose.
parts on
Right.
your body, yeah, those on your body,
And
and
you kind of give you a little charge, kind of
yeah, exactly.
your
In
muscle,
order
get those muscles going.
Yep, absolutely, to
Mm-hmm.
improve the muscle. So, do we know to ask for that? Do we know that that's something that they could do? Do we know
Right.
that you can improve the outcome by adding something like that, as opposed to just doing, manual or normal
Physical type.
rehabilitation,
Yeah.
physical,
Hmm.
exactly. So, again, and depending on socioeconomic status and
Yeah.
levels
And
of
that
education all play a part as
that's
well.
where I was going with it, because I mean, unfortunately, as a community at large, we are, we're underserved, but we also fall into certain categories. Unfortunately, not enough education. Some of us, and I'm listening because I too went through a, fairly from a fairly decent home, middle class, but again, that was not something that was really talked about in our house or in our
Hmm.
household. The later years. So after experiencing it with my mother and my wife, same thing with her. So it became a thing. It was a learned process. So now it's something
Hmm.
that's learned that we share with our daughter, and I know it's an uncomfortable conversation, but now that you have those tools, now you have to share those tools and pass those tools on. And it's unfortunate, like you say, we went through that, living it. And like I said, both college educated and all that, but that just was not something
Hmm.
in our household that was a normal, not even a normal conversation, just a conversation that we would broach. So it's good. I think, for me, just hearing this, I encourage people, take on this difficult conversation, because nobody, like you said, nobody wants to see Big Mama go. But at
Right.
some point, Big Mama's gonna go.
We all
And
do. We
we
all
all do, right? And
have.
then we have to put things in place, financial mechanisms, physical,
Yes.
whatever it is in place. These are hard decisions, but they have to be made and discussed. So I thank you for really sharing that, because that's really important, and we don't do that enough in our home. And you also touched on being, in healthcare, because you have your own agency, as an entrepreneur. And I want to make sure I get it right. The Healthy Care Home Care LLC. Um,
Yes.
and I'm curious from that aspect too. Then, Shawnise, like, what have been some of the challenges for you as an entrepreneur on that end, that maybe a lot of us don't see or even understand? And if you could also give us maybe a reward that maybe shared an experience, you know, maybe from dealing with a senior or even a child.
Yeah. I would say the challenges. So this is actually a non-medical
Okay.
home care agency.
Okay.
So now I'm used to doing the medical side of it. I'm used to doing the rehabilitative side of it. This is for individuals who they don't need nursing or don't need something that would require them to have a skilled service. So no speech therapy, occupational therapy, or physical therapy, but just help around the house,
Hmm.
with tasks and daily living things, meal preparation, transferring from, a couch to going to the bathroom, getting help with getting dressed and all of that. For me, the challenge was the non-medical part,
Mm.
because and the challenge is always, I would say, reimbursement, right? Because you may see someone who needs help, who could benefit from services, but
Yeah.
you already know if they don't have a certain type of insurance, if they don't have, an order from the doctor, or all of the steps that they would need to do in order to
Hmm.
get involved in that, if they've already gone through their part of rehabilitation, getting them back to the process, proving that they need rehabilitation again without something severe happening, is a
Hmm.
challenge. And you know that they need the help, you know that they can benefit from it, and so it's just a matter of, how do I help this person,
Right.
how can I. So that's challenging. Also, home care is something that's very popular. And so there are a lot of different agencies out there. And so in terms of my competitors,
Okay.
that's something that you deal with, just trying to distinguish your company from
Companies
the
from
next
everybody else. Yeah.
the next company that
Hmm.
offers those same things. And I'm a very small company and just starting off, and so a lot of these larger companies started with health equity firms, so they have the money, their
Yeah.
pockets are loaded, they can
Right.
they can do all of these additional services. And I'm not knocking the equity firms, because I've consulted with some of them,
Right.
and
Right.
so um, but that's the challenge. What's rewarding, just for me, I have a soft spot working with the aging population. I absolutely love them. I love being around them. I feel like they have so much wisdom to share. They, most of them will be very forthcoming or forthright with whatever they want to tell you. They would tell you off with love, and will tell you where to go and how to get there, which
Yeah.
is fine, because again, I appreciate that. But then they also really kind of pour into you, and it's
Mm,
unexpected. I've worked with people who have dementia or Alzheimer's or something,
mm,
and much of what they say may not be relevant,
yeah.
may not even be in that time
Time
span,
space. Yeah.
but they will then tap in and all of a sudden say something. And it's just like, wow, I feel
Yeah.
like God used you to say that, or I feel like God is speaking
That's right.
through you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I love those moments like that, and I love being able to make a difference. I also say representation,
Mm,
so most of the people that I hire, they're either CNAs or home health aides. And so just being able to provide an opportunity for
mhm.
them to work, being able to employ um, people, and being that representation in the community.
I love that.
I feel like that's important, and I'm on the Indiana side. So I'm, like I said, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. And so it wasn't something that we didn't see.
Yeah.
There were definitely Black businesses, and Chicago has a little bit of everything.
Everything.
But I
Yeah.
think being on the side where I am in Indiana, especially, I
Hmm.
don't think that they see that a lot. So,
Wow. That's. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that. I mean, just listening to it kind of gave me chills. I mean, because it is, just listening how inspiring it can be. And sometimes I do believe, sometimes we're put in situations and we're doing certain things, like you talk about, someone with dementia or something,
mhm,
they could be totally disengaged, but for that 2 to 5 minutes or that hour, they, like you said, they tap in, but it was meant for you. Whatever it was meant for you.
mhm,
Sometimes, then they say the Lord works in mysterious ways. And sometimes,
right,
just to hear that, then the work that you're doing in the community to bring others who look like us into the fold, and really, because I think in any system, and I'm a big believer of it, no matter what's going on, we have to become a part of the system to change the system. If you're continuously outside the wheel, well, we know what the wheel's going to do. The wheel's just going to run over things. But if you become a part of the wheel, you become the spoke and the hub, you can now have input and change direction. So I think, we really need to get into that mindset. um, I don't want to call it complaining,
mhm,
but we have to get over the fact of why is something this way and really figure out how do we become a part of the change so that it becomes better for us moving forward. And time is flying, but I want to get into your authorship and your
okay,
advocacy, because critically acclaimed author. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pop that off. Speaker, such an elegant speaker. How do you use your platform, and I want to dig into your vision, if you will, to
mhm,
advocate, for improved healthcare practices and awareness and speech language and all of the preventative medicines, or that you come with. Like, how do you envision, from where you started and as you're going through all your current work as an author and advocacy, like how do you envision your platform now moving forward?
That's a great question. In terms of envisioning, I mean, I have to have vision because I haven't arrived there yet. It's not
Okay.
it's not what I want it to be, so I just try to contribute however small and hope and pray that I'm making a difference or that God is using me to make a difference somehow. And so what I envision, especially on the preventative medicine side, I love looking at this person as an individual, right? And just hearing their stories, especially, like I said, by the time that I see people, they have already been injured. They have something that has already happened. They need rehabilitation. But when you get a chance to talk to them and you hear some things that they've done in their life and all of the things that they've accomplished, I like to look at them in a comprehensive way. And so the preventative medicine is my way of saying, okay, let's get ahead of this, like before you get to the point where you need rehabilitation, you
Hmm.
know? And so I like having, it's almost like being proactive instead of reactive, you
Right.
know? And so with that, I just educate physicians and wellness practitioners, people who have wellness spas and
Mhm.
physicians who have private practices on using a device that will measure the nutrients in the body
Mhm.
and determine, what level you're on, whether it's deficient in terms of your intake with fruits and
Okay.
vegetables. And then I also like the part of we're not just going to use this device to identify, but we also have the supplements to recommend
Mhm.
that are research based. It's a lot of money that was put into making these quality products
Mhm.
and making sure that the research shows with taking the products as recommended that you can improve the category that you're in. So we know that the supplements are working, and we know that they're high potency in terms of them being able to get into the bloodstream in the body.
Listen, we could go on and on and on and on with Dr. Shawnise Carter, ladies and gentlemen. She is a breath of fresh air and
Thank
an
you.
inspiration uh to so many people in our community. And I really want you, Dr. Carter, to take a moment to share, your social media, website, whatever it may be. So I want to, I encourage our audience, if you know anyone in the Chicago, Indiana area, reach out to Dr. Carter. Or if you just want to just reach out, support, follow,
Yeah,
do what you can to get behind her and her work. She's an incredible sister, and I thank you for taking time out for joining us tonight here on Two Mics Up.
it's my pleasure. So I would say my website is www.sccallabs.com. So that's my website where I bring everything together, everything that we just talked about. So speech pathology, preventative medicine, me as an author and public speaker. That is a website that you can go to and get to any one of those, even my home care agency. If you are needing consulting, like I said, I've consulted with health equity firms before, and you can retain me. We can work together for an extended period of time as you build, whatever it is, and another investment in your portfolio. Also, if you are just interested in coaching, I do career coaching and mentorship. So I have a few clients that I coach. You can get to me through that, www.sccallabs.com. My Instagram is at Dr. Shaw Amazing. So at Dr. Shaw Amazing, which is DrShawMazing. And then Facebook, I am just Shawnise Carter. And I'm on LinkedIn too. Shawnise Carter. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and make sure we add all of that information to the show notes, and we will make sure we include all of that in all of our future posts. So, you ladies and gentlemen, you stay tuned for all of this amazing work that we're going to be presenting from Dr. Carter. Uh, and like I said, it's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight and really enlighten us and really give us something to think about and really to start having these serious conversations at home in our homes so we can be prepared, for these tough decisions that life, no matter who you are, these decisions are going to come your way. So thank you, Dr. Carter. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I have enjoyed it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Another one in the books. I'm your humble host, Damon Cunningham. This is Two Mics Up, and we're rolling along and rolling along and rolling along. This is season 8 as we continue on my new streaming channel, Infusion TV, on the number one network for positive programming, the Mogul TV Global Network. Now, you can go ahead and download the free, while it's still free, Mogul TV Global app on your Amazon or Roku TV device. You can check out all of the Infusion TV shows. You can see all of the great shows and all of my network mates on the Mogul TV Global Network. So don't wait, don't delay. Check us out. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think, what you feel, anything you want to hear, any type of discussion you want to talk. I'm here for it. I'm your guy. And listen, I cannot say enough, but thank you. This is, Two Mics Up. If you want to follow us across social media, IG, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Two Mics Up. We are a full-time award-winning talk show. We just hit 5 years, and we continue on with the realest talk with some of the dopest guests, just like Dr. Shawnise Carter tonight. And stay tuned for more. We're coming back with all new live Friday nights. We're coming back with our sports segment, so stay tuned. I know football season around the corner, guys. You hungry just like we are? So check us out. Tune in. And like we do at the end of each and every segment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with a couple of things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out.
007.